Welcome to the Deep Dive. We've got a really valuable coaching highlight for you today, straight from our Mind over ARE coaching calls. These calls, part of ABC Club Premium, feature head coach Shika and program founder Bryn, really breaking down tricky concepts for the ARE 5.0 exam. And that exam is run by NCIRB, or as you often hear it, NCARB. Today, our mission is pretty clear. Understand the key budgeting methods for architect fees. Super important stuff. So let's just jump right in with a practice question, the kind you might see from NCARB. Ready? An architect is determining the contract fee for a new project. The architect wants to build a budget based on staffing and the firm's hourly rates needed per phase. Which method is this? Top-down, bottom-up, not to exceed hourly, or a fixed fee? Okay, lots to unpack there. Let's break these down.
Yeah, it's a great question because these terms get thrown around, but for the ARE, NCARB wants you to know the specific definitions. It's about precision.
Exactly. So let's start with top-down. What does that look like in practice? How does an architect figure out the fee that way?
Well, top down, it starts with a given number. Often it's like a percentage of the construction cost, or maybe the client just says, here's the budget. So you get this gross fee, this total amount, and then you work backwards. You figure out, okay, how much of this pie goes to schematic design, how much to DD, and so on.
Right, so you're given the total limit first, and then you have to make everything fit within that.
Precisely. You might say, okay, 25% for SD, 50% for DD. It's efficient for getting a proposal out fast, maybe, but the risk is you might underestimate the actual effort if the project's complex. Scope creep could bite you later if you didn't allocate enough initially.
Makes sense. A bit risky if you haven't nailed down the scope perfectly. Okay, so the question mentioned building the budget based on staffing and hourly rates per phase. That sounds different. Is that bottom up?
That's exactly it. That points directly to bottom-up budgeting. And if you look at, say, the Architect's Handbook of Professional Practice, it defines it pretty clearly. Bottom-up is about building the fee from the ground floor, essentially. You look at the actual scope, the schedule, all the tasks involved phase by phase.
So you're calculating the actual effort first.
Yes. You estimate the hours your team, your staff will need for each task, each phase. Then you apply your firm's hourly rates to those hours. Add it all up. And that total becomes the fee you propose to the client. You're not starting with their number, you're telling them what it will take based on the work.
Ah, I see. So instead of dividing a fixed pie, you're calculating the cost of each ingredient first, and then that tells you how big the pie needs to be.
Exactly. And the big advantage, the real insight maybe, is control. It lets you account for, a weird site or a longer construction schedule or specific client demands. It's not just doubling the fee because the building is twice as big. It's based on actual projected work. It really helps justify your value, too.
Okay, that distinction is really clear. Top-down starts high, bottom-up starts low, and builds. What about the other two options in the question? Not to exceed hourly and fixed fee. How do they fit in?
Right, those are a bit different. They feel more like billing methods or fee structures rather than how you calculate the total budget initially, although they're related.
How so? Let's take not to exceed hourly.
Okay, so not to exceed hourly, sometimes called time and materials with a cap, or T&M. Not to exceed is basically billing by the hour, but with a ceiling. You might use it for specific, sometimes unpredictable tasks. Think site visits during construction or maybe attending extra client meetings, things where the exact time is hard to pin down up front.
So you'd say, we'll bill this at $250 an hour, but we won't charge more than, say, 40 hours total for this part.
Exactly. You bill the actual hours worked up to that agreed cap. If it looks like you'll go over the 40 hours, that usually triggers a conversation about additional services. It gives the client some cost certainty for that piece of work.
Okay, got it. And fixed fee, that sounds pretty straightforward.
It is, mostly. A fixed fee or lump sum is just that. A set amount of money for a very clearly defined scope of work. For example, you might agree on, say, $120,000 just for the schematic design phase. Doesn't matter if it takes you more or fewer hours, as long as the scope doesn't change, that's the fee. Predictable for the client.
Predictability is key there. Now, in the real world, do firms strictly stick to just one of these for a whole project? Or is it more of a mix and match situation?
Oh, it's almost always a mix. That's the practical reality. Firms get really strategic about blending these. You might, for instance, use a detailed bottom-up method internally to figure out your actual costs and target profit for the whole project. That's your internal budget build.
Okay, so you do the bottom-up work for yourself.
Right. But then when you present it to the client, you might propose it as a fixed fee for the core services, maybe broken down by phase. And then you might add that certain other things, like extensive CA or unforeseen revisions, will be billed hourly, not to exceed a certain amount, or simply as additional services.
So you use the internal method to set a solid base and then choose the client-facing structure that fits the project and manages risk.
Exactly. It's about flexibility and aligning with the client's needs and the project's nature. So for the ARE 5.0, you absolutely need to know the textbook definitions NCARB is looking for. Top-down versus bottom-up calculation, and then the fee structures like fixed or hourly. But in practice, it's about applying them smartly, often in combination.
That's a fantastic insight. So here's something to think about. Mastering these budgeting methods isn't just about exam prep, is it? It's really about understanding the financial mechanics of architectural practice. Knowing this stuff helps you communicate value, manage projects better, and ultimately build a more sustainable, resilient firm. It lets you shape the financial conversation, not just react to it. And this kind of practical breakdown is exactly what you get in the Mind Over ARE coaching calls inside ABC Club Premium. You get these live discussions, accountability, plus full access to the entire library of searchable coaching highlights, just like this one. This is just one example of what you'll find inside ABC Club Premium. Join Premium today and get full access to live calls, replays, and coaching highlights. You can learn more via the link below or join us at dci.begindesign.com for example of VC Club.